Hi, it's Tessa with Hip Over 50. So, today I'm going to talk about my first trip back to the US since the pandemic. I'm Tessa with hipover50.com, and I talk about my journey moving from the US to the UK after turning 50 or in midlife, and all the pros and cons, the ups and downs, the ins and outs, literally anything I think might be helpful to you if you are considering either coming over for an extended visit or to move here. So, my first visit back to the US was really wonderful. I really enjoyed it, and I can tell you if you're thinking about making a trip, don't put it off. I had been kind of feeling a little bit of anxiety, to be honest with you, about flying back. It had been since late 2019 was the last time I was in the US, and then of course the pandemic happened, and I had not gotten on a plane since then. And that was unusual because prior to that, I was flying back and forth several times a year and it was no big deal. But all of a sudden, you see in the media, the airports are in chaos, flights are delayed, baggage is lost. So I was just sort of putting it off, thinking that it was going to be difficult. But I can tell you it was quite easy. So I started off, I think I booked my ticket about 30 days in advance, not much more than that. Got a great deal on British Airways. It was about 600 US, a little under 500 pounds round trip from London to Boston. So I thought that was an awesome deal. And it couldn't have been easier. I mean, I got to Heathrow, check-in was smooth, going through security, it was busy, but no problem there. I normally, in the past, I'd always kind of got a snack at the airport because I didn't trust airplane food. So I went over to Pret and, they didn't have anything that I wanted and all the prices looked really ridiculous. So I bought something, but I kind of wish I hadn't because the food service on the plane was actually pretty good this time. I had flown British Airways before, and to be honest with you, it hadn't really impressed me. But this time around, it was a great plane. It was an Airbus 380, so it was one of those big ones, with the upper deck. It still had that new plane smell. And, the entertainment system in the back of the seat was great. USB port, thank you. I had brought my Mophie power station thinking I may have to charge my phone, but I didn't even need it. So yeah, it was great. I had also brought my little headphones, my little, uh, you know, old school headphones with the jack so that I could use them at the on the armrest. That all worked well, and the food was great. I mean, I think the UK caterer did an awesome job. Lots of little bits and pieces from around the country, Irish butter and, Welsh cheese and all that kind of thing. So I was really impressed with the food service, and the cabin service was great too. No complaints at all. So I flew in. I think my flight left at about 2 in the afternoon here, and I got into Boston about, I think it was like 7 o'clock in the evening. No, maybe it was 5 o'clock. And I can highly recommend if you are a US citizen and you're flying out of the country and then back in, that you get the CBP MPC app. That's CBP MPC. I'll put it in the description below. It basically replaces the mobile passport app that I used to use to speed through customs, and oh, what a difference it makes. So I happened to check and before I left, and I downloaded it. So what you do is download it before you leave the country. Then when you're on the plane, you're taxiing into the gate back on arrival in the US, open up the app. Don't try to fill it in before. It has to be done within an hour of arrival back in the US. And open up the app, fill in the details, a couple of customs questions, your passport number. And then when you get off the plane and you head to passport control, you get in the line that says Global Entry MPC. Everybody else will be in the other line. When I got there, I mean, there was like two people ahead of me, and the whole rest of the plane was going through the regular line. So I was just like zipped right through. It was great. I had no problem with bags. They were there when I got there. So that was wonderful. And I had a great visit in the US. It was really good to be back. It kind of felt a little bit like being home. There were certain things about the US that I missed. There were some things that I wasn't sure if they would be the same. I think when you move to a new country, you're bound to have things that you miss and that you compare. You can't help it. Everybody does it. I'm not saying that England isn't great, it is, but there's just different things that are available in the US that I was kind of craving. And to be honest with you, I think I kind of needed to hit that reset button and just sort of say, okay, this is the reality check. This is what it's like living in the US. And there's great things about both countries. One of the things I've mentioned before that I love about the U.S. is the great customer service. I mean, when I got there, I got a rental car from Enterprise, and that was about $250 a week, which was really great price. And the first car I got, it was weird. I don't know what was going on, but it felt like it was trying to drive itself. So I said, hey, can I change this out for something else? And they said, sure, no problem. So within like a half an hour, they had me in an upgraded car. Hey, for your troubles, keep the gas. Don't have to, don't bother filling it up. And I was on my way. I mean, that is what I love about the US. They have this great can do attitude, and I really appreciated it. But some of the things that I noticed that were a little different, I did go into sticker shock. The first grocery store I went into, I spied a $12 jar of peanut butter. Well, maybe it was some other kind of nut butter, but still, $12. I've since been told that, yeah, you can, of course, you can get, peanut butter that's less than that. That was sort of an anomaly, but still, across the board, grocery prices were a lot higher than I had remembered from living there before. Definitely, I got that impression too from people that I spoke to that prices have gone up for food. Restaurant prices were definitely higher. I was searching for my beloved lobster roll, which was one of my favorite treats when I lived in the Boston area, and those are now north of $30 a pop. So, yeah, things have definitely gone up in price, but then that's true of around the world. The one thing that was really reasonable, though, was gas. I'll take $3 a gallon any day of the week. Thank you very much. So I think, the only other thing that I really noticed was that a lot of people were wearing masks. I mean, everywhere, riding their bicycle in the store, and not just people that were elderly or that looked like they had, immune issues. So that really kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting that. A lot more people wearing masks in the US than the UK. I thought, I was really surprised. Let's just put it that way. Maybe because they feel a little more at risk because healthcare there is sort of not always an option for everybody. So that is one thing I noticed. The other thing I noticed was that retail stores had help wanted signs outside paying anywhere from $15 to $20 an hour. Now, granted, this was in Massachusetts, where I think the minimum wage is $15 an hour, but still, wow, that is definitely a big change from when I used to live there. The other thing that hasn't changed is Boston drivers are still as crazy as they always were, very aggressive. I mean, compared to the way people here in England are very polite for the most part, rarely undertake you. Oh, that's anything is fair game in Boston. It was a great trip, and I got to indulge in some retail therapy, which is what I was really looking forward to. I think the U.S. seems to be ticking along quite well. Coming back, I didn't, I really wasn't. I didn't know what to expect, let's put it that way, but let's just put it this way. The TSA is just as rude as they ever were. I mean, I hate the fact that you have to do this full body, screening, what I call the mammogram, and you have to take off your shoes at the airport. I mean, that is so annoying. And they treat you like cattle. I mean, they really need to, I'm sure not all TSA are like that, but almost everyone I've ever run into has been. So you don't get that in England. They're very polite, very well spoken when you're going through security. The flight back to BA wasn't quite as stellar as the flight over. Food service was very limited. It was a full flight. We had 40 kids on board going on a class trip to Italy and Greece. So, and it's a pretty quick trip from the East Coast to London. And baggage claim was a breeze. I really had no problem at all. So overall, it was a relatively stress-free trip. And I think the worst part was trying to get to Heathrow, honestly. But it reminded me of how much I didn't know when I first started traveling. I was kind of intimidated by flying. And then I started, just doing it more often, and it became sort of normal. So I'm glad to see that travel is now back to normal pretty much. I didn't have to do any additional testing or show anything other than my passport. That could have been because I'm a U.S. citizen going back into the U.S. But I think if you are thinking about making a trip, if you've got a dream of going abroad, if you have been thinking about it but hesitant, go ahead and do it. I mean, come on. You'll regret it if you don't. And I know you won't regret it if you do. So please go forward with your plans. Enjoy your life. Travel. and get to see the world. That one thing that Americans still don't really understand is that all of England doesn't revolve around London. I think that is always surprising to me, that Americans don't really have a good sense of the rest of the world and the geography. But anyway, that is even more reason to get out there and travel. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you found some value in this and in my little experience. And if you're planning a journey yourself, I hope my journey will inspire you. And if you've got any comments or questions, of course, put them below. And I will look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye for now.